I wish that there would have been something like this whenever I was in my early 20s and I was just starting out, moving to LA, to tell me what it was really like to be a filmmaker in this city. So with that being said, here are a few things that I wish somebody would have told me sooner. The gear is the least important part of the process. When I first got out here, everything was about the technology. Now that I've done this for 15 years and I've seen the technology change so fast and so abruptly, the things that are no longer even used is wild. When I first started out, it was tow plants behind with big generators and lots of cable and really high, and all of the hot lights that are up to 18,000 watts. Now you're doing it with LEDs and everything like that. So that knowledge that I had, I'm grateful that I have, but it went to the wayside. And so I wish that I would have had more information early on about the storytelling, the structure, the process, working with everybody, collaborating, backwards planning, creating ideas out of nothing. All of these things would have been very, very useful as I was getting into this process. It would have also been interesting to know, like, how does this business actually work? How do people make their money? How do they make a living? How do you protect yourself from getting taken advantage of by people? Those are things that were never talked, and they were really big lessons for me along the way, and I'm grateful that I learned them. But in knowing that that stuff was never talked about on the internet or anywhere, it was all about the technology. It was all about, working inside of this structure to move up to the top. And with that being said, that's why I started Bronson Creative, and so was to dispel some of that. You don't need the technology. What you have in your pocket and with your friends around, you have a better camera in your pocket today than I ever had throughout any of this filmmaking process. The camera that I'm using today, I spent over $15,000 building out. You could do this on your phone right now. I have the camera, so I'm going to use it. But these were things that I had to take on early in my career that I don't know if I really needed. I could have tried other things. I could have learned more about lighting and realizing that the camera was not important. Use the tools that you have to make the film that you want to make. It may take you a little bit longer. It may go a little slower. You might have to do more things yourself. But if you really want your story to be told, nobody's coming to help you. You're going to have to forge the way on your own. And I wish that was told to me earlier on. Most of your work is going to be terrible, and you should show it off anyway. Part of being an artist is it's not going to be perfect. And if anybody's telling you, wait till you have this, wait till you have this, wait till you have this, you're going to be waiting for a very, very long time. I used to joke around with people that, if you're just sitting inside of your house waiting for somebody to knock on the door and go, hey, would you like to direct this for us? Would you like to produce this for us? Do you want to be a cinematographer? Do you want to be a professional photographer? All of those things that you're working on. If you want to do those, just start doing them. There's no better time to start than right now. So one of the things with putting the information that I'm doing right now online is to kind of dispel that narrative that you may have seen in your algorithm that you can't do it unless you have this camera, this thing. It's just not true. And so when you're thinking about that, if your work is going to be terrible when you're starting, I'm going to put in terrible. We have to learn. We have to start somewhere. That's the best place to start. Make the work, put it online. You're going to find your audience. Your audience is going to find you in some cases, and they're going to be impressed that you're even just taking a chance and you're trying something. And with that being said, you have to start trying. You have to start putting things out there. So most of it's going to be bad, especially when you first start, and you just have to kind of accept that. You have to move forward with that. There's not a right reason to start. There's not a wrong reason to not. The only thing that you should be considering is if you're not doing it, there's probably somebody out there that might be just as impressed that you're starting it and you're trying it, and then they would be also encouraged to make it as well. We need more original art out into the world, and we need more people to be telling their stories. And so with that, make your work, make it the best that you possibly can, find people that enjoy it, find others that will help you out in your process, and just make your work. You have to support other artists, especially original artists that are working to put their work out there. If you're not supporting other artists, they're not going to support you. Your friends that are making their work, think about what happens if I would be an advocate for them to be able to tell people that I like their movie, that I like their paintings, that I like their music, all of those kinds of things. We don't need any more people being advocates for corporations telling them to go watch something here and here and here. Filmmakers are not making money online, especially independent filmmakers. It's just not happening. So at one point we'll talk about that, but knowing that going into it, if you're not the one that's going to be helping your friends succeed, then it's going to be really hard for them to help you succeed when it works. This is a community effort. And so if you find a film out there that you like, tell people about it, especially if it's only available on their website or they're only streaming it for free on YouTube or whatever. Just think about if you had your film out there, how much that would make you feel good about yourself to be able to go, oh my God, somebody saw my work out there and told somebody else, which led down this path. So you have to be an advocate for other artists. You have to start telling people about your work. And so if you're not talking about it, nobody else is going to be talking about it. And if you're not going to spread your friend's work even when you like it, then think about that. It would be very, very beneficial for you to share others' work. So whenever I'm making a feature, I'm always grateful to all my friends that watch rough cuts for me and give me feedback and all those kind of things. And then when I put it up, that they share it and go, hey, check this work out, check this person's things out. This is a filmmaker that's really doing it. This is an artist that's really doing it. These are musicians that are really doing it. You got to support other artists, because if you're not supporting them, they're going to keep going away. And I hear everybody all the time talking about, I wish that there was better art. I wish there was better film. It's being made. It's being made by people like you, and we have to start supporting real artists. So get out there and share other people's work. All right, the dreadful money thing. So I wish I would have been told earlier that I needed to save for a life that I couldn't even imagine. I was almost in the film industry for 7 or 8 years before I was able to actually, what I thought, start saving. This is going to be different for everyone. I would say save 10% of everything you're making to save away, so whenever you're able to make the pivot and you're due to go full-time for your art, you have that available. If you're not saving, it's going to be impossible. So think about that whenever you're working into it. Once again, I'm not telling you to not pay your bills, I'm not telling you to do anything like that, but you will have to save, because eventually these industries change, they shift, and they move. And with that being said, our next one is adapt or die. I had a college professor once tell us my senior year, which was a while ago now that you know my age, that whenever we're working in anything, you will need to adapt or die. And what I took from that, and I don't think was everybody in the class, what I took from that was the fact that I'm going to have to adapt to whatever's happening around me to make sure that I'm continuing moving forward with what I think my path is. And with that being said, I had to start making plans to be able to move for that. Like we were talking about earlier, saving a little bit of money, having that set aside. You'd be blown away that 10% of everything, that's just take away something else. Yeah, you're going to have to make sacrifices to be able to do something like this. So take it away from other things. Maybe you cancel a subscription and you go watch a movie at a friend's house. All of these things are possible, but we have to reconfigure what that success looks like. And so that adapt or die that I was told whenever I was my senior year in college was more of a warning to me that I can't stay stagnant. In the 15 years I've been in Los Angeles, the industry has changed so much. When I first got out here, you could basically get on set, especially non-union, kind of whenever you wanted to. There was a lot of things that were working. I moved out here right after the writer's strike. That would have been in 2010? I think it was 2010. And so it was another writer's strike that happened, and once everything came back, it came back pretty aggressively and was working pretty well. Over those kind of 10 years that I was here when I started, I was able to get the things that I needed to get. I worked as a dolly grip, I worked as a gaffer, I worked as a production assistant from time to time. I even acted a couple of times. And so what I was able to do is I was able to get on sets of varying sizes, always knowing that the goal was to be directing. And so with that being said, I was adapting to everything that was changing. I was told by people, don't tell anybody that I wanted to direct on set because then they won't hire you again. That happened from time to time. And so, but I stayed true to what I was trying to do and what I was trying to accomplish and was able to keep moving forward. I was stockpiling money off of these sets whenever I was working on high-paying gaffing jobs. I was stockpiling money whenever I would get another thing in or shoot a corporate commercial, always knowing where am I going, where am I going, where am I going. You need to define your success. And if you don't define your success before you even start, it's going to be very, very, very difficult. When I tell students when I'm working with them, whenever they're really young, that success comes in multiple different ways. If your success is only financial, the film business and any kind of art making business is going to be very, very tough. If you're all right with doing something else with inside of it, then it becomes a little bit easier. My success was never how much money can I make? because as I would climb those ladders and be able to get on bigger sets, that would continue to happen, but it didn't really ever fulfill me. And so I knew that I wanted to direct. I knew that I wanted to make movies. I knew that I wanted to tell stories. And now that I've been teaching for the past 5 years and I've started film and media programs at 2 independent schools in Los Angeles, I've been able to do just that with other students. And so whenever I see their stories coming to life and when I see them wanting to tell these stories that maybe are not in line with what a modern audience, I'm going to put that in quotes, is looking for, we can't let algorithms define our storytelling. And so make your film. And if that means you have to make it for $5,000 with you by yourself and one friend and one actor, and you do it over the course of 2.5 years, that's fine. A film takes a long time to do it. So I would define your success and think about that moving forward. So adapt or die, keep moving, keep challenging yourself, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised where you end up. All right, this is one of my favorite, and I hope it is positive for you. So removing negativity. And so the art industry, the art business, however you want to phrase it, is fraught with negativity. It's very easy to go down those paths. It's very easy to negative spiral with people. And so what I would urge you to think about is if you're in communities that are only complaining all the time, it's probably a bad relationship. And so if you're complaining to get to something better, so like you will have miscommunications, you will have these conversations on set, you will have all these things that end up working in your favor. But if you're only complaining about all the negative things that are happening, I used to call those time vampires whenever I first moved to LA. And so my first business partners and I, we would talk about that when we would go to meetings to meet with people to try to get films off the ground. And we'd realize, okay, it's just negative, it's never going anywhere, they're just time vampires. They're just taking away my time that I could be working on something else and trying to actually move it forward. If you remove that kind of information from your life and you remove that kind of person from your life, the happiness starts to come in. And so with that, the next thing that I have is happiness is a choice. I believe happiness is a choice, and I can already see in the comments that it's going to be, whatever at the bottom, and I don't care. So happiness is a choice. Over the course of these 15 years, there have been times where I've been depressed. There's times where I've been very anxious. There's times where I've been mad and angry at why is this happening? Or why can't I make my movie? Or why can't I get a job? Or why can't I do this? And I've realized that if you reframe that, there's a reason that this is happening. I really, really, truly believe that. There's a reason that these things are happening to all of us. And so if we can try to reframe and try to find the positive, once again, of removing that negativity, can we find the positive out of all of this and try to figure out why this is happening? The why is very important. Whenever I teach, I'm more interested in the why of everything that we're doing. Why did this happen? What happened that led to this? So when we talk about history and things like that in the filmmaking process, once you learn that a lot of things that happened early on, the reason that they happened that way was to steal somebody's work or to do this, or things don't just happen. There's usually a why, and there's a lot of choices that lead up to it. So try to take the happiness route, try to take that other route and see where that leads. And believe me, it's not easy. It's not easy. It's never going to be easy. It's always going to be hard. But try to find people that you can surround yourself with that are positive, that try to lift you up, form that community, and try to find those kind of people in your life. And so whenever you find that, life becomes a little bit easier, your art becomes better, you free up your mind to be able to think about stuff that are creatively. And so thinking about the noise that is around you, why is that there? Is it really something that you need to be listening to right now, or is it just trying to distract you from what you're actually trying to accomplish? In my experience, it's been distracting me from what I'm trying to accomplish. This one took me a really, really long time, and I would like to thank my students for making it easier for me. So everything's not for everyone. And what I mean by that is every piece of art you're going to run into, every film, photograph, book, novel, whatever you're looking at, it's not for everyone. And so if you find something that you don't like, it's not necessary for you to comment on it and tell people that you don't like it. People will let people know that they don't like it. If you don't know that person and they're not asking for your feedback, just move on. Usually, whenever I would do those kind of things and I would get upset whenever I was really, really young, I would think that it was a personal attack on me of why don't I have this? Why am I not making a movie? Why am I not directing that? And what I realized was because I'm not applying to it. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do those things. I want to direct something else. That's why that's not happening. And so thinking about that it's not for everyone really, really kind of helps to move the needle forward. And so what I consider now is whenever I'm telling somebody about a film, if it's something I didn't like, I usually frame it in a way that it's like, I don't think it was made for me. I don't know if I was the target audience. And when you're watching films and you're experiencing art, there's always something you can learn from it. And I learn the most from the bad films I watch, and I don't need to bring other people down to be able to move forward, if that makes sense. It's just not necessary. And the negative spiral, refer back to a previous one where we said remove that negativity. Usually it's us projecting. I know it was me personally, sorry if I hit that, me personally I was projecting. I was putting out into the world that I was angry that I wasn't doing what I wanted to do, and I was trying to put that out into the world thinking that that would manifest into something positive, and it rarely ever does. You might luck into it, but then you're gonna have to actually do the work. So with that being said, remove that negativity, go back up to a previous one, but thinking about that is if it's not for you, it's not for you. Just move on. All right, this has been one of my favorites personally over the last about year, is just give it away. And I know that's very tough. And so I thought about that a while before I did it. We all worked so hard. I do this a lot with my photography. And so I will literally go around the neighborhood putting like 4x6 prints and little plastic sleeves, which really don't cost anything. The work is already created. I've already taken the photographs. And I started just putting them around my neighborhood. I was blown away that overnight all of them would disappear, which is very interesting when you're trying to sell your work online and you're like, well, why isn't it selling? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? And so, but if giving it away in my immediate neighborhood, I realized that there are people that enjoy the work. They may just not know about it. Also, they may be in a similar situation as I was at one point whenever I was a young artist, that I didn't have any money. I didn't have any money to support people. I would have loved to watch it, but I just didn't have it. So the audience you're trying to reach right now may be in a similar boat as you, and so try a barter system. Hey, I have my movie. You want to trade copies of it? Do you want to trade photographs? Do you want to trade zines? Here's a copy of my album. Can I have a copy of your album? And so we want, as artists, just for our work to be seen, and the only way it's going to be seen sometimes is to give it away. So I don't think it's a bad idea to give it away. Think about it, what your goal is. What is your success? What are you trying to accomplish? Think about that really, really hard. And then if this is one of those things that work out for you, then great, give it away, because you're going to find instant feedback. If you put a copy of your movie out on the street and nobody takes it, or you put a photograph out on the street and nobody takes it, then you're going to get pretty good feedback that even in your immediate circle, people are not enjoying what this is right now. You can take that as information, you can put it back into the system, into your process, and then see if that adjusts it anyway. So give it away. That might be a great way for you just to get inspired. I know it was really beneficial to me because I started realizing what people liked and how things disappeared and people were actually picking them up. So give it away. It's okay to fail and accept defeat. And what I mean from that is you putting yourself out into the world is going to bring a lot of negative. Once again, go back up to the remove the negativity part. Think about why people are doing that. They might be in a struggling position where they're not making what they want to make. And I hope this inspires you to just go make it. Go make the work. Don't bring other people down in the process. But if you do make something that doesn't go over well, just accept the defeat and move on. You learned a lot through it. What I've learned from teaching over the last 5 years with students is the process is so much more important than the actual product. I've directed 3 feature films. The third one still hasn't come out because it happened during the pandemic. We were trying to finish it during the pandemic. But I've also had multiple short films I've directed that have never seen the light of day. And I don't consider those failures. At one point, I probably did. I was a little frustrated that they didn't come out. But then I looked back on all the things that I learned through the process of editing it and structuring it out and working with actors and working with bigger crews and things like that. I was able to actually kind of harness all of those pieces of knowledge that I learned and use them for other things, teach them to other people, or just keep them in my back pocket as like a nice little resource to have in the future. So accept the defeat if it happens. If you don't get into the film festival, move on. It wasn't meant to be. Apply to another one if you want to, or don't. Give it away, or try any of these other things that you're working. What I've realized that it's not always those kind of pieces of success that actually are what you're looking for. And if you take them and reframe them into a way of like, what am I actually learning from this? It really kind of helps you free up your mental space to be able to keep creating. Because let's be honest, if most filmmakers were only happy whenever they sold a movie, there would be almost no filmmakers, because it takes a long time to make a movie. And right now, all of the information that's out on the internet of how to get it done is not very positive for you to be able to succeed. So there are a lot of ways that you can find success in this industry, and I'm going to put industry in a quote because we're going to talk about that at some point. But this filmmaking process is very, very tough, and I'm not going to lie to you that it's not. But the things that I've learned about myself in the process, if the films ever get seen, that is an end goal. I want them to get seen. I want your film to get seen. But I've also realized that throughout the process, the people that I've met, the journeys that I've been on, the growth that we've experienced, and the things we've learned about ourselves are just as important. And for that, I'm grateful for that being what was successful on some of these projects. I hope this was helpful for you. I hope this inspired you. I hope that this changed your outlook on what it is to be a filmmaker in the 21st century in 2025. I know that over the past 15 years, a lot of things have changed. The industry, we're going to talk about it at some point, is not the same as it used to be. And I think that's great. I think that's a really, really, really great place to be. But with that, it's going to require a community. It's going to require people to actually help each other out. It's going to require people to start talking about other people's films. If you want to watch original films, there are thousands of them out there that never got distribution, that got on platforms that are no longer open and they were only in digital. And that's why I'm starting Bronson Creative and I'm putting all this online, is I want you to make your film, and when you're done, I want you to reach out to me so I can help you get it seen. That can be on physical media. Eventually we're going to talk about streaming, but doing it in a way that actually is transparent, because streamers just don't give any kind of transparency. I've sold 2 movies and the money is abysmal, to be able to say the best. So it requires you to continue adapting, continue changing, and continue working on your process. So define your success, figure out what that is, and then attack it with all your might. And don't take advantage of people. Help each other out. You're gonna need these people along the way. You're going to need your friends, you're going to need your family, you're going to need your collaborators. And if that means that you find 3 people that are willing to put a couple $1,000s in a piece and do all the work your own and then split it 3 ways at the end, then do it. It's worked, it works, and it will continue to work, but you're going to have to actually forge the way. And I'm excited to be able to try to figure that out with you. And when you make your film, I hope you share it with me. So I hope you have a great day. I hope this was helpful, and check out the rest of our videos, like, subscribe, all those kind of things. So once again, if you're not sharing it, we just exist in a void. So